Tonight, a former Regina police officer pleads guilty to using police databases to pursue women. How an expansion to the National Food Program is impacting one Saskatoon school division. And what makes football so special in Saskatchewan? We talk to players and coaches.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, November 21st, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a development at Provincial Court in Regina, where a former police officer has pleaded guilty to 2 charges related to using police databases to pursue women. Alexander Kwan was in court and has our top story.
Robert Semenchuk did not speak during his brief appearance in Regina Provincial Court Friday, and he did not answer questions from journalists as he left. The former police sergeant, a 22-year veteran of the Regina Police Service, showed no emotion as he climbed into a vehicle before it drove off. Semenchuk pleaded guilty on Friday to breach of trust and unauthorized use of a computer. The maximum sentence for the charges is a combined 24 years in prison. The Regina Police Service has known since at least 2023 about allegations that Semenchuk used police databases to help him pursue women. But it wasn't until March of this year that he was charged. Semenchuk resigned the following month. Police concluded their investigation earlier this year, but say they're willing to investigate new information if they get any. It's not clear how many women Semenchuk may have contacted, but some of those women were in court on Friday to hear the guilty plea. Crown prosecutors declined to speak with media, while Semenchuk is scheduled to make an appearance in court for sentencing arguments early next year. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
A sharp rise in drug overdoses has the opposition NDP calling for more addictions treatment supports. This week, the Health Ministry issued toxic drug supply alerts for both Regina and Saskatoon. At an NDP event Friday, addictions worker Chantel Hewell, who started helping people with addictions after she got sober, says treatment programs are often currently designed without input from people they're meant to help.
They've never lived on the streets, they've never solicited themselves for a place to sleep, and so they think that they have the answers, but they don't have people with lived experience helping them to find the answers and the solutions.
The toxic drug alerts follow a surge in overdoses in the province's 2 largest cities. The Saskatoon Fire Department has reported more than 100 overdoses since November 11th, including 2 deaths. As families continue to struggle with high grocery prices and inflation, the provincial and federal governments say they are expanding the National School Food Program. Ashwarya Duda reports.
Pizza ban. Oh, yeah. Kids love it.
Inside the kitchen at Carolyn Robbins Community School, staff are preparing tasty and nutritious meals for hundreds of students. And more of that food may soon be feeding more hungry stomachs as the National School Food Program is expanding.
When students are nourished, they are better able to learn, grow, and succeed.
Earlier this year, Saskatchewan and Canada signed a 3-year, $15 million food program agreement. The province is distributing part of that funding to school divisions for the next school year.
There's a third payment in which we are partnering with the province on this particular front. But the good news that we celebrated today is this is now going to be a permanent program.
For Saskatoon Public Schools, that means support for 30 schools chosen based on needs.
I can't even imagine how difficult it is for parents that are struggling financially to know what to pack their children for lunches, for snacks during school, and this relieves that pressure.
Strandon says the impact is already visible, improving attendance and engagement.
By afternoon, students get antsy if they're hungry and they don't focus, so we have a number of stories of that improving. I've had a student tell me that our food is better than what they make at home. No offense to mom and dad.
The announcement is good timing for Saskatoon Public Schools. It's opened a centralized production kitchen at a local church that will serve lunches and snacks to about 1,000 students at some schools, while other schools will get money to serve their own meals. The feds say the national program is expected to serve up to 400,000 children every year. Ashwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Patients at the Pattison Children's Hospital are getting more choices in what they eat. The new Ready, Set, Eat program will allow them to order food on demand and choose from a menu curated by kids themselves. It's all part of an effort to improve nutrition and comfort during hospital stays. Normally, meals are brought to patients at fixed times, and kids don't always like what they're given. The new menu includes an array of comfort and high nutrition foods and are monitored by dietitians to ensure they're healthy.
When children like what they are served, they actually eat it. This is crucial because kids often lack the extra energy and protein reserves their small bodies need to withstand illness and tolerate treatment while trying to grow at the same time.
The program launched in October with funding from the Pattison Children's Hospital Foundation. Meals will be available between 6:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Applications are now open for a new tax credit for those who invest in small and medium businesses in Saskatchewan. The pilot program is offering a 45% tax credit to investors in Saskatchewan businesses up to $225,000. That goes up to $4 million for eligible businesses. The credit only applies to food and beverage manufacturing as well as transportation equipment manufacturing.
Small business is certainly looking at doing more. They want to expand. They want to expand production both in the province but also across the country. And we're even hearing from a number of businesses now that want to be exporting internationally. And I think this is going to give them that opportunity to build that scale to expand internationally.
Kading says the program is intended to increase private sector investment, create jobs, and strengthen the province's manufacturing sector. Pipeline politics is heating up in Western Canada. British Columbia's premier is blasting what he calls secret talks about a proposed oil pipeline that would run through his province. But BC is also pitching an alternative to get more oil flowing to the West Coast. Yasmin Hanea has that story.
On either side of the Rocky Mountains, conflicting perspectives on Canada's pipeline future.
We built the pipeline and support them to be able to use the pipeline that the people of Canada own to the fullest.
British Columbia, which previously went to court to block the expansion of the Trans Mountain pipeline, says moving more Alberta crude oil to the West Coast is better than Danielle Smith's proposal of building an entirely new pipeline.
I would like to see expansions in all directions.
The Trans Mountain pipeline runs from Edmonton to Burnaby, delivering about 890,000 barrels of petroleum products each day. Trans Mountain wants to increase capacity up to roughly 1.2 million barrels a day in the next 4 to 5 years. But Smith says that's not enough, pushing for a pipeline that runs through northern BC.
The world is going to need more oil in particular. OPEC has now said it's probably 125 million barrels a day by 2050, and we need to be a growing share of that growing market.
It comes as Alberta and the federal government discuss a new energy accord, with Ottawa reportedly considering granting limited exemptions to the current tanker ban on BC's north coast.
The federal government is also facing what we might call an existential crisis, and it is trying to reinvigorate some of these big projects that will help us to diversify our markets and our economy.
BC Premier David Eby says exemptions could put future projects worth billions of dollars at risk by defying the wishes of First Nations.
It's like explaining to a vegetarian that they'll still be a vegetarian if they eat a few steaks. The risk is to the long-established lifestyle of coastal First Nations, but also $1.7 billion in economic activity up and down the coast.
Saskatchewan's premier says his government is also involved in discussions about a BC pipeline.
I almost fell out of my seat when I heard Scott Moe say that he was part of these conversations and was helping in these discussions, which I was completely unaware of, between Alberta, Saskatchewan, and the federal government about what happens in British Columbia.
Eby says he wants his province to also have a seat at the table moving forward. Yasmin Hanea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Officials in the BC coastal community of Bella Coola are trying to determine what caused a grizzly bear to charge a group of students and their teachers, and part of that effort is locating the bear.
We've got several traps out right now. We're preparing to set out a whole bunch of cameras And the biggest message is just if we can get people to stay out of the area, then we don't want to get the bears necessary to leave, but we just want to establish what's going on in the area. And they'll act more naturally if nobody is in the area disturbing them.
There's praise for how the 4th and 5th graders responded and for the teachers who were prepared with bear spray and flare devices. 11 people were injured, 4 were flown south to Vancouver for medical care. Well, usually at this time of year, we're walking in winter boots and ski pants, but the pathways around Wascana Centre in Regina are clear of any snow. For now, weather specialist Riley Lachuk says some of us may need to start thinking about pulling out the shovels sooner rather than later. He'll have his full forecast after the break. Welcome back. We are less than 24 hours from the Vanier Cup, and the University of Saskatchewan Huskies are hungry to bring home the University Football Championship for the first time since 1998. Head coach Scott Flory was part of that group of Huskies who brought home the last Vanier Cup, and he caught up with the Morning Edition's Adam Hunter.
I'm here with head coach Scott Flory, the U.S. Huskies. Congratulations on getting to the Vanier Cup.
Thank you.
What makes this team this year different from the teams you brought here in the past?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think every one of them's got a different, vibe to it. This team is special in their own regard. I think this is the most resilient football team that I've been around. I mean, there's just so many things that seem to have happened. Like, we had a day 3 early in the year where we lost our starting field half, Tad Smith-Windsor. We go into week 2 on an innocent play. Rhett Vavra comes up, tore his ACL. It's like, normally that would rock most teams. I mean, Jake's first start, he didn't find out he was starting until 2 days before the game. Like, it was day 3 on going into Alberta, and it was like, and it's just next guy up. And the team didn't bat an eye. Like, they're just like, all right, okay, next guy, we trust you, we believe in you. They just want to play, and they completely trust the next guy. It doesn't matter who's in there, and that's a special quality, a special trait to have.
Speaking of the next guy, you mentioned Jake coming in with very little notice in really difficult circumstances. That's pretty much an unprecedented situation for a university football team to be dealing with. Anton's illness. What did you learn about your team from that experience and what you're still going through?
Yeah, no, it's hard. I mean, obviously, you just get emotional thinking about it, right? Like, the poor kid, he just, and not only him, but the team. And I talk about their resiliency and talk about that. I mean, you look at Jake. I mean, he didn't want to be the starter this way. That's not the way it's not the way it's supposed to happen. Life's not fair. You line up and you play, and you just keep moving on, one foot in front of the other, and that's what this group has done. I think that with Anton and him just being the guy that he is and how important he is to this group and being a fighter, that's why I love this game. It is team. It's all about team. It's not about any one individual. It's the sum of the parts, and this group exemplifies that, I think, more than maybe any other team I've ever been a part of.
And it's been a month-long celebration of football in Saskatchewan with successes at all levels, from the grassroots right up to the professionals. We caught up with players and coaches all over this province to tell us why football in Saskatchewan is so special.
We have great coaches right from the grassroots level, and they teach you the right things right from the start. And it's obviously important to us. It's been the most important thing in our life, up to this point, and having a family and a wife and stuff like that. But it just starts at the grassroots, and I've been very fortunate to have great coaching all the way up.
And man, if you're in Saskatchewan, you love football, and growing up watching football and loving football, I'm super fortunate that I get to play as much football as I do.
I feel like a lot of the coaches are really good and they know what they're talking about because they've played through it. Just the players, I don't know, they're got a lot of experience playing with RMF, SMF.
Well, I think, and I've said this a lot, I just feel like the culture of the game in this province it's core to the people, and it's core to this province, and that's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, we've got guys from every corner of this province, 6-man, 9-man, 12-man football. I mean, you name it. It's special.
Football is a very popular sport in Saskatchewan. The coaches like RMF, SMF do a really good job of developing young talent. So it makes our job a lot easier when they come to Riffle or any other school in the high school. The Sask programs, youth flag football is massive in our city. anything, like there's just way more for kids to get involved in with football to develop their skills at an early age.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, Saskatchewan has some great football. I think we see it every week. And yeah, it's exciting to be playing in Saskatchewan. There's nothing quite like it.
You get lots of kids out here that love the game of football, and being able to provide that again for them with this type of game that we play is really good. I know that a lot of kids are interested in pro ball in the States, the NFL and the college ball, and I think it's great having that sort of liking for the kids, because then they're able to have some level of experience as far as watching it. Now they want to participate and play in it.
It's a lot of the small town communities having close-knit groups, and just the volunteer time that goes into it from to all levels. Not a lot of money in that, right, for those coaches. So the fact that they put in that time to change so many lives, I think it just goes to show how the province of Saskatchewan really is really close-knit.
Well, the weather forecast looking not too bad for the Vanier Cup Saturday at Mosaic Stadium, and not too bad either as we've rounded out the end of the work week. Riley Lachuk is here now with a look at the rest of our forecast. Hi, Riley.
Thanks, Ethan. A little bit of everything, I think, is what we can put today into as we end the week here. Even just looking at temperatures as we head into the weekend here, quite the spread. 11s and 12s in the southeastern corner of the province, Swift Current and Maple Creek. Let's put that into contrast with Collins Bay and Stony Rapids, -5 and -7. So you can see where we have a bit of a ridge that's formed in the jet stream here. And this is what's kept much of extreme southern parts, really anywhere south of the Trans-Canada Highway, quite a bit above seasonal for this time of the year. That does change as we get into next week. I'll go into details in a bit, but as expected, a weak disturbance has been pushing across the province, and this did prompt throughout the day today freezing rain warnings as expected around Prince Albert and into the northwestern parts of the province, as we did see some of this interacting with some of that warmer air and transitioning some of that over to some mixed precipitation or some freezing rain. So that does start to push out off into Manitoba as we get into the day on Saturday. What's left in behind this is actually a bit of a ridge of high pressure once again that starts to set itself up here, and then we get back into a mostly sunny sky even to start the day on Saturday. This is short-lived. I do expect that we'll be into sun and clouds as we get through Saturday, Sunday, although a bit more cloud as we get into the day on Sunday. That is because I am watching another system developing over the Rockies that will give us some precipitation as we get into early next week. So if you're looking to do anything outside, Saturday versus Sunday is probably what I'm thinking, especially if maybe you have to put your Christmas lights up still. Saturday is probably a good day to do that. But as we push forward into early next week here, this is that system I was talking about. This is Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. And as I advance this through into Tuesday, you can start to see this does spread some snow, and in behind this, some much, much cooler temperatures across the province. A bit early to talk accumulations, but really I'm thinking anywhere south of the Yellowhead is looking at a pretty general 2 to 5 centimeters at this point, although there's still a bit of uncertainty on what exactly is coming. So just keep that in your back pocket as we head into the weekend here, that as we start next week, we could be getting into some precipitation, particularly that later Monday into Tuesday time frame. And as mentioned, in behind that, we get this trough forming, and we get a push of Arctic air really right across Western Canada, and that's going to plunge temperatures back to or below seasonal for this time of the year. So for Regina, look at this. Let's enjoy some 7-degree highs Saturday and Sunday. Normal for this time of the year is -4. There's that snow I was talking about as we get Monday, maybe a few flurries left over into Tuesday, but you'll notice these 7-degree temperatures Saturday and Sunday all the way into next Friday, looking at highs of -7, which is, yes, closer to seasonal for this time of the year, and back down into minus double digits even as we head toward the middle of next week. Saskatoon, slightly cooler, still above seasonal though, 4 degrees for Saturday, 2 into Sunday. I do have a slim chance of flurries in the forecast for Saskatoon on Monday, although it will depend on the track of that system that comes through, Ethan, and again, some much cooler air coming in behind this.
Yeah, is it ever cooler? Thank you, Riley.
This is between us, the wizard, and I.
Wicked for Good is now out in theaters. It takes a notably darker and more emotional turn than the first movie, as witches Elphaba and Glinda struggle to reconcile their friendship against the backdrop of fascism and bigotry in the land of Oz. Fans are already singing their praises, and it's expected to defy gravity in box office sales. We're back after the break. Well, if listening to the Rolling Stones music isn't enough for you, try picking up some memorabilia from the band's private collection. Almost 200 items head to auction in Dallas in December, and they could raise more than $1 million. And if you can't get no satisfaction there, where can you get it?
It is a collection of Rolling Stones memorabilia, stage-worn outfits, tickets, programs, autographs, instruments, you name it, tracing the history of the band from their formation in the early 1960s until they conquered the world by the end of the decade. The leading lot in the sale is Brian Jones's Harmony Stratotone guitar that he acquired in the early 1960s. It was his first electric guitar. What's fascinating about this guitar, it is a budget guitar. This is not a high-end instrument. This is what, somebody working class in the early 60s would have been able to afford. I think one of the coolest pieces of music memorabilia isn't an album at all, but rather an album sleeve. It's a 12-inch record that simply says "We Love You" with the band's names written on it. And this would have been sort of, we think, a prototype predecessor to their Satanic Majesty's Request album. It's named after their single, "We Love You." And we think this was one of the early sort of mock-up covers for an album that ultimately never came to be. Over the course of less than a decade, they go from being one of 1,000 other aspiring rhythm and blues, rock and roll bands in London to being on top of the world. I think watching that story unfold through these objects is very interesting.
All right, let's have a look at your forecast now. As we head into Saturday, I do expect that we'll still see some lingering flurries the further east you are in the province. So maybe a few flurries as that transition happens into some cooler air in Prince Albert, for example. But still temperatures looking at overnight conditions around -3 through Nipawin, through Hudson Bay, Priestville, into the Parkland region, but closer to freezing still in that southeastern corner of the province and into northern sections, looking at a fairly good chance of some flurries or some light snow tonight at Pelican Narrows at -6, La Ronge at -4. As we head into the day on Saturday, the rest of that snow pushes off into Manitoba. Then we're back into some sunshine, so clearing early in the day. Even by the time you wake up in the morning, likely into some sunshine. By lunchtime, looking at temperatures around freezing through much of the north. Looking at Cree Lake at -1, La Loche +1, Buffalo Narrows 1 degree. In southern parts of the province, looking at sunny skies tomorrow, maybe a bit breezy at times, but really that's about it for any real weather, Ethan. And temperatures still running several degrees above seasonal for this time of the year.
Yeah, nice for November. Thanks, Riley. And that is our news for this Friday. For news anytime, you can head to our website or YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend.